très rapide, aller en partie.
Hello and welcome to Who is Best, a show where I, Localdain, am going to look into video games that give you choices, and we're going to create a tier list. We'll start with crap tier, low tier, mid tier, high tier, and finally, god tier. This is going to vary according to game, and can include characters of a party, weapons, classes, whatever it can be. VII is one of the most underrated / overrated games ever made. Hear me out. Because of its crazy success, it's garnered more criticism than many of its counterparts. And also because of its global success, some of its better qualities are downplayed as nostalgia or hype. In the end, this game has a highly customizable battle system, originally crafted world, and diesel punk style storytelling that is gripping from beginning to end. And grotesque pixelated graphics.
Oh, watch out for those pointy bits.
So let's begin our tier list. These are simply rating characters as full game party members according to usefulness, power, and availability. We will take into account limit breaks, growth, weapons, and personal stats, as these are really the only things that sets characters apart in this game. And stick around at the end to hear the optimal party for your playthrough. Without further ado, I introduce the tier. Number 9, Ares, or Aerith Gainsborough. Ares, the sweet and confident flower girl from the slums, is at the bottom of our tier list. I am sad to have put her in the crap tier because she is truly an awesome character. In fact, she is probably, aside from Cloud, the most crucial character to the story. With that aside, she is one of the worst picks as a late game character. Ares has the greatest magic stat in the game. Overall, she is the best support character. Almost all of her limit breaks are useful as support skills. Fury Band, which fills up every member's limit break, Pulse Life, which heals everyone completely, and Great Gospel are all immensely useful. She is one of only 3 female characters available in the game. When it comes to magic, she is far superior to Vincent, who has the second highest magic stat, but far less effective limit breaks. Comparatively, there's almost no character that stands up to her. So why is she at the bottom, you may ask? Well, if you don't know, I highly recommend spending a lot of time training her. Number 8, Cait Sith. Moving on to our second crap tier candidate is possibly the most unique Final Fantasy character, well, ever. Cait Sith is a robotic gambling doll controlled by a member of Shinra. Originally set upon the party as a spy, he grows to love the different characters. There's even a very touching scene in the game where he gives Cloud a fortune favoring Ares and expresses worry for Tifa. With all that being said, he is an unfortunate character. Most of the characters in Final Fantasy are useful in their own right, all but this guy. I actually really love this character's design. The giant Moogle with a cat riding on its back, using a megaphone as a weapon, is endearing. Unfortunately, everything about him falls short. Other than his luck stat, Cait Sith's strength, speed, and HP stats are mediocre at best. On top of that, he has a luck-based limit break that is close to useless in a bind. Really, the only use that has been found for this character is a low percentage chance of killing Ruby Weapon. Just be ready to spend hours and hours resetting your system. Low tier. Number 7, Vincent Valentine. Moving on to our low tier, we have without a doubt the most badass character in the entire game. Vincent is a vampire, ex-Turk, and all-around cool guy. He is the mage of the party and has the second highest magic stat in the game. He can be pretty useful as a black mage or a white mage. His limit breaks are a berserk skill where he turns into various creatures for the duration of the battle. You are unable to control his attacks, and he will use 2 to 3 skills randomly. These can range from powerful to absolutely pathetic. On top of this, his ultimate weapon is close to useless as its attack power is based off of past death blows, and it takes a lot to get up to speed. Overall, he is a somewhat useful character for your party, though there are many others that have more uses. Side note, did you know his original weapon was going to be a scythe? Yeah, super cool. And that does it for our low tier. Moving on to mid tier. Number 6, Tifa Lockhart. Tifa is a babe. Not just that, but she is easily the best female character in the entire series. Tifa is also a decent party member. She's extremely useful in the early game with a high strength and magic stat that can make her a useful DPS/white mage. Her limit break isn't great due to the fact that it is one of the only limit breaks with an input determiner. A slot machine style attack that if done wrong can cut your attack short. She gets a few weapons throughout the game that have double growth, which helps with materia leveling. Again, she's really useful for the early game, but there are still better party members to choose from. Perhaps in the remake, she'll be more well-rounded of a character. Well, she's already well-rounded, obviously. I mean, it's not like she'll be a permanent member of my team regardless of anything, because I'm not biased. You know, I mean, you're biased. I've changed my mind. She's Number 5, Red 13. Wrapping up the mid-tier is another early game must that loses his usefulness as time goes on. Red 13 is similar to Cloud in stats. He is a DPS support character that is highly recommended for a first playthrough. He can cast magic effectively as well as attack for quite a bit of damage. His limit breaks can be useful, especially Lunatic High, which casts haste on the entire party and buffs Red 13's defense stat. His ultimate weapon and level 4 limit break are easy to acquire, and he never quite loses his usefulness while still never quite reaching the heights of the upper tier. All of this makes him an easy member to have for beginners. Also, he's a wolf thing, and that's awesome. Side note, if you've been enjoying this list, why don't you hit the subscribe button down below? I'll be posting more in-depth tier lists weekly. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter at LowCloudAim. Anyway, back to the list. The upper tier. Every character from this point on is a must for a game-breaking God Mode style playthrough. And we started with the second best ninja in the series. First goes to Shadow, obviously. Yuffie is the fastest character in the game with long-range weapons and a decent set of limit breaks. Doom of the Living, which is her level 3 limit break, is very useful against bosses, hitting them 15 times. It's probably the 4th most powerful limit break in the game. Her speed also makes her useful when it comes to skills like Mug and Manipulate, which are based off of the speed stat. She also has a late game double growth weapon with a good set of slots, which is insanely useful in leveling up materia. Sure, she can be kinda squishy with her defense and HP, but that can be fixed pretty easily. Overall, she is a good support and growth character. Number 3, Barrett Wallace. Barrett, the foul-mouthed Heart of Gold leader of Avalanche, is a full-on DPS. Your other party members should be there to support him so that he can take the load off your shoulders. Sporting long-range weapons and the highest attack stat in the game, this guy is deadly. His limit break, Anger Max, misspelled as Unger Max in the game, is immensely powerful and, once you've maxed out Barrett's strength stat, can do a crap load of damage. Barrett's real downfall is he serves no other purpose other than to hand out damage, which really isn't that big of a fault. Also, did anyone else think that his side story with dying in the prison under Golden Saucer was one of the coolest in the entire game? Well, I sure did. Number 2, Sid Highwind. When looking at Sid's stats, he isn't too impressive, but don't let that deceive you. He has the second strongest limit break in the game, Highwind, hitting 18 times. This attack literally calls in his ship to bomb the enemy. He also has an ultimate weapon that is simply based on MP level, which is very easy to control. All these things make for a good character, But what puts him at the top of this tier list is his triple growth weapon. He receives one of only 2 triple growth weapons in the entire game, which is paramount for upgrading materia. Overall, Cid is almost a must for any optimal run of Final Fantasy VII. And besides, he smokes and swears, and pretty much doesn't care about your feelings, so sit down and drink your damn tea. God tier. Now, usually when the hero of an RPG is required to use in-game, they will rank fairly high on this list. But Cloud is the exception. He would be number 1 whether required or not. The only real thing Cloud is lacking is a high magic stat. But with the best weapons, limit breaks, and overall effectiveness in attacking, why would you want it? Cloud gets a triple growth weapon, which along with Cid's, makes for an incredibly fast materia leveling. He also gets the best limit break in the game, Omnislash, which can one-hit bosses with enough training. His weapons look phenomenal in game. My personal favorites are Hard Edge, Rune Blade, and Heaven's Cloud. Overall, this guy has earned his cocky attitude and his place at the top of this list. Now, as for optimal party, the current proven party is Cloud, Cid, and Yuffie. This allows fast growth of materia as well as 3 well-balanced characters with Yuffie taking up the support side. Cloud should focus on damage output while Cid floats somewhere in between. It can be argued that the optimal party is switching Yuffie for Barret, as this makes for a more deadly team-up, and I could be persuaded either way. And that's my list. Comment down below if you disagree with anything and I'll be sure to answer back. Look forward to our next list, Trails of Cold Steel, which I just finished my playthrough on the PS4. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.